أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Dear friends, welcome to Idea Foundation Forum. Today in lecture 301, we will discuss fertilizing winds and the Qur'an. Fertilizing winds and the Qur'an as 39th issue under the Qur'an and Modern Sciences. It relates to hydrology. There are several verses of the Qur'an shedding light on various aspects of hydrology. In our discussion today, we will focus on the verses describing the fertilizing, fecundating, or impregnating winds and their role in formation of clouds that cause rainfall. In the next lecture, we will look at the verses that describe how movement of the winds cause lightning, thundering, hailstorm and rainfall. Amazingly, the Quranic information on these aspects revealed about 1500 years ago happened to be the precursor of the information. Precursor of the information, advance of the information that could be attained by science through its discoveries in the area of hydrology just in recent times, recent past. Conformity of the Quranic information revealed in the 7th century with the current scientific information witnesses is evident that the Quran is a divine book, no doubt. So, dear friends, a list of Quranic verses is displayed on the screen that describe the fertilizing or impregnating winds and their role in formation of clouds that cause rainfall. Ayat 22 of Surah Al-Hijr precisely reveals information on the fertilizing winds causing rainfall in the words, listen. وَأَرْسَلْنَا الرِّيَاحَ لَوَاقِحَ فَأَنْزَلْنَا مِنَ السَّمَاءِ مَاءً فَأَسْقَيْنَاكُمُوهُ وَمَا أَنْتُمْ لَهُ بِخَازِنِينَ. And we have sent the fertilizing winds, fertilizing, الرِّيَاحَ لَوَاقِحَ, and sent down in water, and sent down water from the sky and given you drink from it, from this rainwater, and you are not its retainers. In the verse, Ar-Riyaha Lawakiha means fertilizing winds, impregnating winds. Ar-Riyah is used for plural of wind, and the word Lawakiha is translated by Pichthal as fertilizing, while it has been translated by Yusuf Ali as fecundating and by Dr. Ghali as impregnating. All are synonyms of similar meanings. In view of these translations, the word Lawakiha in the verse reveal that Allah sends the winds having three roles to play. Having three roles to play in the formation of clouds for sending down rain from the sky and progression of plants' life. What are these three roles? First is to fertilize or impregnate clouds as the zygote is formed by the fertilization of a male gamete means sperm and a female gamete means egg in case of humans and animals, as well as pollination of a pollen and a stigma in case of plants. Look at the advanced information given in the Quran. Second is to produce fertilizers for the plants, crops, etc. Third is to pollinate the plants. The act sending down water from the sky is dependent on the act sending of the fertilizing winds in the verse. However, formation of cloud is a connecting act which is implied in the hydrological process. This complete process is precisely described in Ayat 48 of Surah Ar-Rum in the words. I recite translation. It is Allah who sends the winds and they stir the clouds and spread them in the sky however He wills. And He makes them fragments so you see the rain emerge from within them. And when He causes it to fall upon whom He wills of His servants, immediately they rejoice when they receive rainfall. Everybody, every plant, every animal rejoice. So dear friends, traditionally there had been variety of interpretations of fertilizing winds. Most of the interpreters have limited their role. In their viewpoint, winds have limited role just in formation of clouds and rain in the sky without valuing, without appreciating them with the fertilizing features. Then several others limited their role as the winds impregnated by rain, full of rain, are the winds having clouds and rain in it. However, in the modern times, a few interpreters have considered their role of fertilizing the clouds into rain. Among them, Ibn Kathir interprets such winds having features of fertilizing the clouds so that they give rain and fertilizing the trees so that they open their leaves and blossoms. These winds have been mentioned in plural form, not singular form, plural form, as they together cause reproduction in pair, male and female. He compares, Ibn Kathir, he compares them with the one called the barren wind, Al-Aqim, in Ayat 41 of Surah Adh-Dhariyat shown on the screen. These are the words for barren wind in Ayat 41 of Surah Adh-Dhariyat, which has been, you can see on the screen, wherein the barren wind is mentioned singular. Previously, for the fertilizing winds, the word is plural, but for barren it is singular, as it does not play a reproductive or fertilizing role. What a wisdom! To support this view, he quotes Abdullah bin Masud's opinion as the wind is sent bearing water from the sky, then it fertilizes the clouds until rain begins to generously fall. Just as the milk of the pregnant camel flows generously, as milk of the pregnant camel flows generously, like this flow, the rain also falls because of those impregnating winds. Such opinion is also shared by Ibn Abbas, Ibrahim, An-Nakahi and Qatada. Ibn Kathir also quotes Adh-Dhak saying, Allah sends it, means the fertilizing winds, to the clouds and it gets fertilized and becomes full of water. He also quotes Ubayd bin Umair al-Layasi saying, Allah sends a wind which stir up the earth, then Allah sends a wind which raises clouds, then Allah sends a wind which forms clouds, then Allah sends a fertilizing wind which pollinates the trees. So he classifies winds in many forms. Here Ubayd also mentions their role as pollinator. The words وَتَصْرِيفِ الرِّيَاحِ, which means and in his directing of the winds, as mentioned in ayat 5 of Surah Al-Jasiyah, shown on the screen. This need to be noticed. The word وَتَصْرِيفِ الرِّيَاحِ, it means and in his directing of the winds. Please have a look on the screen. So, dear friends, now if we look at various interpretations of ayat 22 of Surah Al-Hijr, especially the words Ar-Riyah Lawaqiha, with the perspective of current information in the area of meteorological science, three roles of the fertilizing winds may be conceived. Meteorology tells us how the clouds are formed and how the lightning bolts cause chemical change in nitrogen molecules of winds and water molecules of vapor to form fertilizers. This is current research of science. Mixture of the gases in the Earth's atmosphere is named as air. 78% of the air is nitrogen gas, which is mixed with 21% oxygen, water vapors, and 0.9% argon and 0.04% carbon dioxide and little of other gases. As we know, water evaporates from the oceans, rivers, etc., and also transpires from leaves of plants and escapes into the air to become one of the components of the air. Smoke and particles of dust, pollen and sea salt resulted from breaking ocean waves also occupy less than 1% of atmospheric air. Wind is the movement. What is wind? It is the movement of air due to uneven temperature on various parts of the earth caused by the rotation of the sun and the earth. Now just imagine the connectivity of the divine order. Thus the composition of the winds make them potent for forming the clouds, producing the fertilizers and pollinating the plants. So dear friends, the wind's role in forming the clouds is performed when they carry water vapor from the Earth's surface and oceans to the upper layers of atmosphere. Dust particles provide basis to the water atoms of vapor to be collected and condensed into clouds. Each particle of dust works as a nucleus, neutron and other, or nucleus is in the center. Each particle of dust works as a nucleus for the water vapor to be condensed onto it to form a cloud droplet. Thus, the dust particles are then called cloud condensation nuclei or CNN. Size of a cloud droplet is about 100 times the size of a CCN. What is CCN? Cloud condensation nuclei. CCN, nucleus. The formation of a cloud droplet may be compared with the formation of a zygote as a result of fertilization of a male gamete or sperm or a female gamete egg in case humans and animals, as well as pollination of a pollen and a stigma in case of plants. A bunch of cloud droplets get together and form the clouds. When the clouds no longer can hold these water vapors because of saturation or weight, then they fall on earth in the form of rain. So dear friends, the fecundating winds or impregnating winds also plays their role in producing the fertilizers. How it happens? Listen. Nitrogen, 78% of the atmospheric gases, is an important essential nutrient for plants and other organisms, being a fundamental part of nucleic acids, amino acids, and proteins. But despite being highly abundant, 78% abundant, nitrogen is not readily available to most life forms, being mostly non-reactive with other molecules due to its tightly bonded form, because it is non-reactive. Thus, most of the organisms require nitrogen to be transformed into more reactive compounds such as nitrates or ammonia. Nitrates or ammonia, so that they could be used as fertilizers. This difficulty is resolved. Now just imagine. This difficulty is resolved by a bolt of thundering, bolt of lightning, flash of lightning, created by the movement of clouds, which releases tremendous heat, splitting apart a nitrogen molecule to free up 2 nitrogen atoms. These liberated nitrogen atoms can then bond with oxygen atoms to form nitrogen oxide. Nitrogen oxides. Once dissolved into raindrops, they become nitrates. The liberated nitrogen atoms may also bond with hydrogen atoms to form ammonia. Then finally, these soluble nitrogen compounds fall to the earth in rainfall, providing a natural lightning produced fertilizers for crops, trees, and other plants. This is, the divine order established by Almighty Allah. The fertilizing winds also act for pollination of the plants by transferring pollen grains from the male anther of a flower to the female stigma. There are 3 types of, plants and trees. We will discuss some in some other lecture. So there are certain plants. Here one plant is male, creating pollen, male pollen. The other is having female stigma. So these pollinating winds perform the act of, making them together, bringing them together. Many of the world's most important crop plants are wind pollinated. These include wheat, rice, corn, barley, oats. Just imagine what's a great role these pollinating or impregnating winds have, which were mentioned in Qur'an 1500 years ago. So dear friends, the composition of the winds that make them potent for forming the clouds, producing the fertilizers, and pollinating the plants is not an accidental phenomenon of nature. It's not accidental phenomenon of the nature. It's a grand plan, strategy, scheme of nature. And, operated under the laws of nature. They are neither self-centered nor free of the divine discipline. They surely work under a divine direction, as revealed in Ayat 5 of Surah Al-Jasiyah in the words, listen, and in the alternation of night and day, and in what Allah sends down from the sky of provision and gives life thereby to the earth after its lifelessness, and in His directing of the winds are signs for a people who reason, who think. The fecundating winds or impregnating winds obey the divine direction to perform their assigned role most dutifully, not casually, dutifully, as we also observed in case of hormones in another lecture. The particles of the hormones are released by one of the endocrine glands into the circulatory broadway of blood. You know, there are millions kilometer long veins, vessels where that endocrine gland leaves its hormones in that circulatory broadway of blood, yet they remain conscious of the divine direction and they conveniently listen the help call raised by the antenna of an aspirant cell. They reach to the aspirant cell by listening the call of the antenna. This is a divine order. And they reach there to comply with the divine direction. Ah, my God, perhaps it is only the man. Plants are aware, hormones are aware, trees are aware, everybody listens the call of the divine order. Perhaps it is only the man among Allah's creatures who remains negligent to the divine direction most of the times, mostly. It's very, thought-provoking for us, especially for us being the Muslims. So, my dear friends, with this we conclude our discussion under lecture 301. Please subscribe Idea Foundation YouTube channel to watch videos of previous lectures and join us for the noble cause. Thank you friends for participation. Allah Hafiz.